Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me clearly? Okay, this is good. Unfortunately, I've been given the graveyard shift here, and it's going to be even harder because of the two previous speakers that were fantastic and kept you on your toes. But I'm going to do my best to make sure that the graveyard shift is not part of that. I'd like to thank you, Gerrit and Corinne, for looking after Antoinette and I, and it's been an honor to receive this invitation to come and talk to you all here today. My brief today is the primary producer's responsibility from farm level to feedlot, abattoir, and the consumer. I'm going to repeat the first part of that. The primary producer's responsibility. And that's what I'm going to aim at, trying to create a platform for you all to take home and to inspire yourselves by what I say today. I'm not going to talk about the last 50 years. I'm not going to talk about fundamentals. I'm not going to talk about what is happening in our country. I'm not going to go there because I'm positive. And if we're going to get bogged down by what we see on a daily basis, we're going nowhere. We have got to rise above it and take what Lau and the previous speaker spoke of, and we've got to provide them with the raw materials. And that is what my brief is today, is to talk to you in connection with primary production. I'm going to be progressive as best I can, because I believe it's the only attitude that we can take forward for today. If I look at the slaughter numbers that you see in front of you, it will show you that cattle numbers have dropped from 2,679,000 down to 2,564,000 in approximately 4 years. Now that is the talk that Lau gave you. And I don't have statistics that can tell us how many cattle we've got, or sheep and all those things, how many we've got in the country. But I can vouch for these slaughter statistics. They are accurate, and they are all that we have to go on. If you add 2023 into these figures, they'll even be worse. I'll repeat that. If you bring in 2023, the figures will decline even more. Now, primary producers, please, you've got to stop this. Feedlots can't stop this. You've got to stop it. You've got to breed more cattle. You've got to breed more sheep. Lau said if you want to create an oversupply, knock on the door of the farmer. But you cannot do this without responsibility. You've got to interlead your businesses with people that are professionals. You've got to take primary production based on accurate sales and what you can do. It's no good producing more kgs of pork or cattle or lamb if you can't sell it. Cattle down, last 4 years, 4.5. Sheep are down 17%. Goats are down a huge percentage, but that's because of cultural marketing. But look at pigs. Pigs have gone up by 16%. I'll repeat that. During the same time that cattle and sheep have declined, pigs have increased. And that number of 3869 is an accurate figure. And we've done that as an industry from less sows, producing more pigs, producing heavier carcass mass. We've just been through a devastating period. And I'm going to quote a figure now that's common knowledge in the pig industry. And we paid a lot of money a couple of years ago to establish this figure. And that is that a 5%, just a 5% oversupply creates a 15% drop in price. I'll repeat, 5% oversupply will create a 15% drop in price. Now that's exactly what Lau is talking about. And he's right. We need to export 20% of the beef that we produce. You've got access to a few niche markets in this country, and I don't want to belittle them, i.e. grass-fed beef, Wagyu, and all those sort of things. But percentage-wise, they aren't strong enough to make a difference. 20% will make a difference. Will get you a better price for your calf. Will get you a better price for your store lamb. Is that what you want? Well, then do it. If we look at the expected feedlot numbers, we expect that from that 2,506, I'm passionate about what I'm talking and I'm forgetting to keep you up to date with the slides. There are 2,564 cattle slaughtered last year. We believe that approximately 83% of these cattle come from feedlots, which means that there's approximately a 710,000 standing capacity of animals in feedlots in this country. Is that going to change? No, it's not going to change. Can we expand more? Yes, of course we can, but we can't if we don't increase our demand. And export is part of our demand. That is the way forward, and that is what we're going to have to do. And that's an opportunity to all of you here. I'm going to show you a graph that's on your table there now. And you can see that's pigs from 2018 up to 2022. That is a steady growth. Is that positive? Of course it's positive. And that's what we need. But don't we need that as farmers? Don't we need that as primary producers for our beef and for our lamb? You can't sit and farm on 5,000 hectares with 5,000 cattle. If you don't grow that next year and the year after, you're going backwards. You've got to have growth. You've got to refer to that GDP that he just spoke about. This is incredibly important, and it's incredibly crucial that you understand this. If you don't, you're just going to stagnate. Our primary production industry will stagnate. Believe me, it will. We've got to grow our herds. And if it takes to borrow money, put yourselves in debt. But you're going to have to do it. Interest rates are still positive for borrowing money. Don't be afraid to borrow money. Just have the wherewithal to go out there and cover the interest, and you won't be sorry. I'm proof of that. I'm proof. I'm standing here. I've never not borrowed money. I've always borrowed money. Our group has always borrowed money. You have to do it. You have to do it. There's change. Look at the pictures. The old picture there. Those bodies are just as beautiful as the bodies right at the bottom. You've just changed them and put them in a different dress. But change is imperative. If you haven't got change and you don't take what we're talking about seriously, you're going to go downhill. You, as leaders of our industry, have got to take this seriously, and you've got to create a destiny that is upmarket, upbeat, and positive. And you've got to take this for yourselves. I can't do that. RPO can't do that. But as a group of people, you can do it. I've changed. Computers change. Technology change. I've got a young wife and I've got a 5-year-old daughter. That's change. I'm going to show you a few slides now, and they are about the pig industry, and they were given to us at a talk on the 26th of June. And I'm just going to show these to you briefly, but the one thing that they're showing there is a word, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to tell you at the end of the slides what it's telling you. These are the best margins ever that they've had in the industry. You can see there on the right-hand side that Spain has got a dollar margin, a euro margin per 100 kg carcass of nearly 90 rand, nearly 90 euros. That's huge. That's huge. At the very same time, we in South Africa were losing 550 rand a pig. And that comes back to what I said. 5% oversupply is a 15% drop in price. So if you're going to expand, you have to do it based on dealing with people. You can't go and do this by yourself. You can't produce more calves if you don't speak to Lau and his industry and have a market for those calves. That's what that page says. This page is a cutback in farming. You can see that the national herd, the national European herd has gone down from 16.6 million sows to 11 million sows. And this is going to continue in Europe. There are huge greenie actions in Europe. The people are going to be not able to expand their piggeries. In fact, they're forcing them to reduce them. They're forcing them to reduce their beef herds, their sheep herds. This is very, very bad news. Very bad news for them. But what is it for us? What is it for us? It's opportunity. It's opportunity. Someone's got to fill that gap. Can we fill it? Of course we can. This one's there, and it says here, countries like Denmark, Germany, and France, Netherlands, were significant pig-producing industries they've cut down. I'm going to go quick on this because I don't want to bore you. Here's another one. The trend in Europe of the sow numbers decreasing. But look at this column on the right-hand side where it says people that are integrated. And we've got to integrate. If we don't integrate and talk to our partners, be it an abattoir, be it a processor, be it a chain, We've got to talk to them. We've got to have internal growth. If you go to the next one, the next slide, it shows there. Now this is what is interesting. They talked about it this morning. Water available in Africa and Asia. If we can handle our environmental responsibility. Now there was a gentleman here from the bank, and he spoke. But chaps, we've got to look what is sustainable within our own industry. Managing our water, managing our resources. They're going to be classic examples of what I said on the second page was borrow money. If you don't comply as an industry, they're not going to lend you money because they're going to be held back from lending people money. But again, that word's coming up again. Opportunity. This is all opportunity. And there's a new game. Jürgen Kramer, which is the last slide of this now, he said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. I'll repeat that. The best way to predict the future is to create it. So where does the future lie? It lies with you, and everybody. That's where the future is. And there's huge opportunity in this country for it. They projecting that at present the better units are producing 33 pigs per sow per year. They're going to go up to 40 in 10 years. They're going to be up to 45 piglets per sow per year. That's nearly a 30% growth. Now you're not going to get you're not going to get a 30% increase in your calving. Or your lambing. You're not going to get that because genetics aren't as inheritable on a bovine and a sheep as they are on a pig. But it's there. The chicken guys are doing it. If I showed you a picture of the chicken industry, it would be exactly the same. Exactly. No difference. So I'll repeat what he said. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Feedlots will expand. They can expand. They're going to get this 20% that Lowe talks about. They're going to get it because they're doing it themselves. They're not relying on government. They're not relying on consultants. They're relying on themselves to negotiate, get the Chinese people here, get the Saudi Arabian people here. They're doing it. So my question to all of you is, can we as primary producers fill this gap? Stand up here, the primary producers. All of you that are primary producers or represent primary producers. Stand up so I can see I want to see you. Come on, stand up. Primary producers or who represent them. Yeah, thank you. This is what we need. This energy's got to come from you, not from me. It has to come from what you decide to do. And when must you start deciding? When you get home back onto your farms, you need to start making decisions now. Otherwise, it's going to be too late. Oh, I've gone backwards here. Sorry. Can we yes, we can. We can. And I want you to take that to very, very serious levels. And you have to start looking not only about kg of wiener per cow, it's about kgs of wiener produced per hectare. You're going to have to make your farms more efficient. You're going to have to put up new fencing, new water, new grazing techniques. It's not about genetics, it's not about breeds, it's about how you handle your farms, how you handle your raw materials, and the energy that goes with that. We also need, a lot of you are produced, there's a run-of-the-mill calf price, and those of you that want to really go for broke need to talk to your feedlots. You need to talk for a better price, a better than average price, and that's important. Food security is something for the country. Food security is for the country. And we need to make sure that what we're going to produce, we can sustain it and we can keep it going. And I believe we can. Words that were used when I was a young man, there was no word called risk. That's a new word. It's a new word on your agenda, on your business decisions. 10 years ago, you never heard that. You never made a decision based on risk. You made it on gut feel. Now you've got to bring gut feel into this as well. You can't just work out the sums and then base it on risk. If you can do it, you've got to feel that you can do it. If you can't feel it, don't do it. In fact, if you don't feel what I'm saying now, you should sell your farms and go and invest the money in the stock exchange, because you're wasting your time. All of you, I beg you to take what I'm saying and take it seriously, because if we don't take that picture of those ladies there and we don't change it, it's going to stay as it is. And then as an industry, we're born to disaster. There's youth here. There's youth among you. I'm 70 years young. Come on, chaps, we can do this. There's a picture there of an Amalusi Mdala, Walusinkomo, in the homelands. Chaps, a huge percentage of our beef and sheep and wool come out of this type of culture. Chaps, as young people, we're not going to change that old Malusi, to change him into an economic farmer. The youth has got to take responsibility. And I come back to, that was my brief, responsibility. The youth amongst you have to take responsibility to change these homelands, to change the quality of the animal that's coming out there. They aren't going to do it. We've got to negotiate with the banks to give us subsidized money as farmers, to give you subsidized money. It's no good going through land banks and all this sort of thing. They're unprofessional. They don't know who to lend money to. Your banks do. Banks know whether it's and I'll use that word, risk. They deal on that. We don't. But if you don't have a track record, you're not going to go there. But this is crucial, that we get what's coming out of these homelands. I would think it's probably 40 or 50% of the country. It's a huge percentage of the country. And it's not getting out the quality that we need. And you're not going to change that person, the picture that you see on the screen. Youth has got to do that. Youth from our varsities, youth from our commercial farms, youth from our industry. Doesn't matter whether it's black or white or colored or whatever, but it's youth that has to change that. And I keep hammering that word. Youth has to change. We have got certain criteria that's suddenly come to the fore in the last 10 years. And if we don't change, we don't accept it as a challenge, and we don't do something about it, as ourselves, and I say this again, as ourselves, the government isn't going to do this for you, politics aren't going to do this, but you've got to form ways to be sustainable. You've got to form ways of having quality assurance in your herds. You've got to have traceability. You've got to have biosecurity. Now, we are light years ahead of you in the pig industry and the chicken industry, but that doesn't mean that you can stay at the back runner of this. We are plagued with animal diseases in this country and have been for the last couple of years. And we've got to sort this out. Biosecurity is going to sort it out. Each and every one of you are responsible for your own health of your animals on your farm. No good phoning up and asking a state vet for this or that or a private vet. The actual security on your farms, you have to install. And that's why I said, change. It's no good looking back at what your forefathers had. That's not there anymore. It's gone. And it's gone forever. And you have to accept that it has gone. And you have to accept that if you don't do something about it, you will be signing your own death warrant. The previous speaker spoke about 10 million sheep surplus in Australia. Chaps, think about that. 10 million ewes. 20 years ago, they couldn't even afford to shoot those ewes. Those cull ewes were driven over the edge of a cliff down onto the ground. That was their culling procedure because they had no market for them. The world has changed. There is a market. And before you know where you are, if you don't get your act together, you're going to have truckloads of sheep, boatloads of sheep coming in from Australia. It's going to crucify you. It's going to drop your prices way below that. If we can export to Mauritius and to Dubai and Saudi Arabia and those places, which we're doing with sheep, I'm telling you that there will be ways and means for those Australians to find a way in your back door. Watch it. Abattoirs. Abattoirs. How many of you take the time and trouble after you've loaded up your fat cows or your calves or your cull cows or your fat oxen off the fell to follow that process through? There are very few people here that can stand up and say that I do that. You need to follow you need to see what impact your livestock is having to an abattoir. You need to know what is good for the abattoir and the bad for the abattoir. How many of you ever check up on the bruising of your cattle? Bad transport, horns, all these things, they are crucially important. And I go back to what I said. The primary producer's responsibility from farm level to feedlot, to abattoir, to the end consumer. Chaps, if you don't look, ladies, if you don't look after that, who's going to look after it for you? Nobody. And it will just deteriorate. And if you want Lowe to motivate that 20%, he's got to know that he's got that in his back pocket. That he can do contracts because he knows that you can produce it. Tell me you can produce it. Can you produce it? Come on, give me yes properly. I want to hear it. He wants to hear it. I was in a shopping centre the other day, and there was an African male, and he was buying pork chops. And he was turning over the packets, they were frozen, until he found a packet there that was totally over fat by what we want to produce. And he says, no, he likes it. And I asked him, and he says, no, he likes the fat meat. Do we produce it for him like that? No. But we need to know that's what he wants. And when you're producing fat cows, you've got a grade C2 price. But the market isn't with the C2, the market's with the C3, the C4. And we need to follow through with that. We need to understand it. And that's why I'm saying your abattoirs are important to you. They are your arm. The chain is your shop window. When you go to town with your wife and you go and do shopping, don't just get bored and stand outside. Go to the supermarket. Go in there. See what the people are buying. See what the housewife's putting in a trolley. Try and understand it. Because it's your product. It's your future. It's not hers. It's yours. And you need to react to that. The pig industry has spent a lot of money on trying to improve the image of the farmer. You've seen the adverts in the magazines, you've seen the TV programs, you've seen the technology on the WhatsApp and all that sort of media. We spent a lot of money doing that. You need to improve your image as farmers. It's important. It's important that the housewife understands the amount of time and effort that you put in to producing a calf. And if you don't do that, you'll be at risk. My last one here is export. And I come back. Food safety, food security. Lou's got to negotiate. He can't negotiate if he hasn't got your support and knowledge that you will give him enough calves to do that. They are professional people. The general census in the industry is we have to add value. Yes, we have to add value. Lou is doing that. Henry is doing that. They're processing. They're getting higher values for you. You've got to understand this. You've got to back them. They can't be doing it. They can't be doing it at a calf price of 35 Rand and then suddenly it goes to 50 Rand. They can't do that. They've got to have a static market that they can keep selling. Don't forget, they can go there, and which is what you want. You've now said you want this export market. It's 20%. But if you don't fulfill that obligation, that 20% is going to come where? It's going to come back on your doorstep. And it's going to kill your internal market. So if you want growth and you want export, and it's the right thing to do, go for it. But know that it has to be backed up. It can't be a whim. Lastly, I'm going to use 3 words. And I want all of you to negotiate on this basis, and that is with integrity, honesty, without being greedy. You saw that how the industries in the world are being integrated. And if you want to be part of that, you cannot bring any of those items to the table, to the negotiating table. They have to be there automatically. And if they're not there, there's huge problems. So please, I beg all of you to go back home and look at your farms and feel the passion that you can for your livestock industry. Be it sheep, be it cattle, doesn't matter. And give these chaps the opportunity to prove their worth to you and take you to the change over the next 50 years. Can we do that? In that case, I'm going to close and I'm going to thank you all. Thank you very much.